facial expressions, basically.
Good.
What's your name?
My name's Scott. Camilo basically dragged me out to this thing, so I figured after he would go, I'd show him how to impress.
Oh my God!
But one thing I kind of want to come here and talk about is my goals, kind of as an outsider coming, this being my first meeting. One thing I'm looking for is the ability to talk to small groups, particularly at an engineering firm where I might have to get up in front of 10 or so people and present a project or a design. I feel like in the engineering world, that's an area where a lot of Georgia Tech graduates kind of fall in. And on the same side of that, we're very international. A lot of the firms that I'm working with right now, their headquarters are in Washington, D.C., and we need to be able to sit in front of a camera and have a video conference. And there's a lot of gestures that go within that you wouldn't think about when you're portraying yourself to another audience in a different position. One thing I would really like to do with this community or group is work on the stability to talk with small groups and interact with questions, particularly when you're asked a question, how do you respond to it, and then continue on with your presentation. A lot of times I feel like these engineers will be asked a particular question and not have kind of a leadway into what they're trying to continue on, kind of like an and or is type of deal. Next I'd like to talk about kind of where I stand in job interviews. I feel like a lot of times you get up there and one-on-one you're fine, or sitting behind a desk you're okay, but as soon as you have to stand up, you know, your heart beats a little faster and things like that. So ways to control your body is the big point that I'm trying to cross. Another area that I would like to work on would be communicating with other cultures. I feel like sometimes we have this stereotypical, you know, hi, my name is whatever, and that might work for one culture, but other cultures, Camilo's mom loves to kiss me. And I'm not used to that all the time, you know, so I get thrown off as soon as she kisses me. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? How's it going? So I think, you know, just understanding different cultures and how that interactions would be beneficial to me.
Excellent.
All right, so Camilo had 10. Scott, you had 15.
We got to work on that, Scott. Those ums are obvious.
First tip, don't talk about anyone's mom.
So, what were some pros that we saw? Yes.
100% eye contact. You kept the whole audience in eye contact the whole time. You varied your speed of delivery. You talk fast, you talk slow. Your volume was good. It filled the place. You had good facial expressions, including humor. It's really good. We haven't talked about that tonight, but that thing's called theatrics, and humor is one of them, a really important one. You used it. And you used good gestures. It looked like you were straining to do the 1/3, and you kind of did it, but it looked like it was tough for you. And I want to talk to the whole crew. You'll learn as much about public speaking when you hear us critique the folks who've spoken as you do when you speak and get critiqued. So really soak up what is fed back to the people who've already spoke too. That's really a valuable part of the learning process. You're a good guinea pig, Scott.
You?
I really like when you started to make us laugh, your confidence went up a lot, and then you were able to be more animated.
How would we say Scott's hand gestures were? Any opinion on that? Colin, what did you see?
Actually, I was pretty distracted by the uhs, so that's why they're called verbal distractions.
Correct, I'll take care of the ums.
All right.
Wes, did you say anything in terms of hand gestures?
They were all right. I would classify it as subtle, not too much dramatic. It sort of fit your content, so I guess that was okay, but don't be afraid to branch out there a little more.
We call this like the solo. Yes?
Yeah, I thought that sometimes you would like put your hands in your pocket, and then you would realize that, and then you like take it out right away.
And we call this like the solar plexus. So Milu highlighted basically that there were basically different types of hand gestures. We call it one-handed subtle, one-handed dramatic, two-handed subtle, and two-handed dramatic. So the point is to basically to verify or change up which type of hand gestures you were doing. It's not dramatic's not always good, going like this. Like you want to basically change it up. One hand, sometimes dramatic. And when you get really good, you could basically do that in alignment with the content, what you're doing. And that was different hand gestures, just with what I was saying. And
I thought you had a lot of self-disclosure. It sounded very honest and real, and I think you connected with all of us beautifully. So that is something that I'm sure engineers would like as well.
But I just want to thank you, each of you all, for coming out. I hope it was great for you all to see this and, participate and receive it as movie time. Basically, next week we're going to highlight on 3 specific elements, and we're always, of course, going to have time for impromptu. To basically come up here and speak to the audience, because that is really where the biggest gains are. So, thank you.
And if you didn't speak tonight, really plan to speak next time, or if not next time, then the time after that. You got to practice.
And if you guys want to sign up for the member list, come to me. Dues for being a part of the club are $15. The one thing that the other officer didn't mention, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Karen. Okay. One thing that the officers didn't mention was that we'll be having a speaker's manual that is around 30 to 40 pages, and it can be your guide if you are a member of this club.
And eventually, once you become a member, we have that website. So basically, please leave the comment sheets just on the table and we'll collect them. And we'll be storing it into that data. So you can start seeing how you're doing based on the average of the scores with key comments on what you saw. You can watch the videotape if you saw. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out. We want to see you here next week.
That'd be great.